Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and we are here on a Tuesday night. We got a midweek race here for the Chick-fil-A Cup Series for the first time ever, at least under the old format of when we do a race every week. Of course, we used to do midweek races all the time back in the day, but with the new format of everything, first time we've done a midweek race, and right smack in between two fictional racetracks is another fictional racetrack. This is the Hillside International Raceway, qualifying for the JBL 400 tonight at 9 p.m. Excuse me, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Getting ahead of myself right there. At 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on Napa Fan, so less than an hour from now. We'll be going green here around this mile-long racetrack in Natick, Massachusetts. Or should I say, Natick, Massachusetts.
Natick.
Yeah, I'll get it right eventually. But this is going to be a very, very interesting race because it's a lot like Dover, but they go a little bit faster. It's a little bit higher bang, which means that they rev these engines up like crazy. So engine longevity is going to be a massive key in tomorrow, or should I say tonight's race, because normally I do qualifying the day before we do the race, but it's actually tonight. But these guys are going to have to make sure their engines don't get too hot, or otherwise they'll blow up, and we will probably see a couple of engine failures tonight here in this JBL 400. How do you think that's all going to play out, especially with these 12 chase drivers in the field?
Oh, that is definitely going to be a very interesting scenario if some of these guys blow up. But just all these guys, like you said, these guys are going to be revving these engines like crazy. So the amount of the time the engine can survive is definitely going to play into it. But just surviving, that's the first scenario, the first hurdle you need to climb over. But then this is Hillside. This is one of the craziest tracks in all of NR 2003, one of my personal favorites, and it's just going to be an absolute banger of a race later on tonight.
It definitely will be. Uncharted qualifying going on right now. 07 is Chloe Reiner, 08 is Bobo Jones, 21 of Carter Friesen, 55 of Logan Williams, 57 of Mitchell Callum, 67 of Trey Smith, 71 of Dale Salzmann, 98 of Joshua Rush. And right now it's the 08 of Bobo Jones and the 07 of Chloe Reiner, the two fastest here in Uncharted qualifying. Of course, top two advance on in every Uncharted qualifying session. And if it goes green later tonight, it'll be a very quick race. We get about 20-second laps here. Only going to have 80 laps tonight here at the Hillside International Speedway. Going to be interesting to see who ends up on top. Definitely going to be looking forward to see how the starting lineup goes, because even though it's a very fast-paced racetrack, you do want to start up front, because passing is a little difficult here. It's not like it is at other short tracks. It's very easy, but at the same time, you gotta get that momentum on the inside of somebody to have a shot at making a pass. You can see right there, Bobo Jones tried to get to the inside of Logan Williams right there, but could not get to the inside. And the outside lane works here as well sometimes. So it's a very unique racetrack in the style of racing, and it's definitely a very fast-paced racetrack as well. Bobo Jones, Logan Williams. Of course, Williams a couple weeks ago in Nashville almost got the race victory over there on the Cracker Barrel 400. We're going to have to see what he can do here at Hillside in the number 55 for Trans-Tasman Racing.
Yeah, like you were saying, this is definitely a very advanced, momentum-based racetrack, I should say. The Bobo Jones trying to make a pass underneath the 55. But I remember when we ran the Mission Barbecue Cup Series cars, those are the ICR cars, a couple weeks back. That was race under the lights. It stayed green for a fair amount of time, so I think even though we are using the Gen 6 mod, I think we are in for a fairly green flag race. Is going to be under the nighttime, so a lot of grip on the racetrack, faster speeds, and more control for the drivers.
It definitely will be interesting to see how it all plays out. First time we have ever come here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. There has been one prior race run here on Napa Fam. That was in the Hers Elimination Series last year, so only a couple of these guys who are going to be racing tonight have seen this racetrack before on Napa Fan. It's going to be interesting to see how they play it out. Bobo Jones and Chloe Reiner have done a great job here in this qualifying session. Two fastest times right now here in Uncharted qualifying for the JBL 400. And if things stay the way they are, it looks like it will be those two drivers advancing on to race later tonight here at Hillside. The third race of the chase in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. And with what we've seen in the chase so far, it's definitely been interesting. Alonso's been able to hold on to his points lead, but our last race at Armory Digital, the chase drivers did not have a good night at all. Only 2 of them finished inside the top 10, as Mark Davidson and Jesse Turner. Do you think something similar might happen tonight with the chase drivers here in the JBL 400?
Well, it definitely could be. I mean, another attribute to this track, drivers sometimes have trouble. They kind of have they have the tendency to arc a brake into accidents that are too close. So we could see if some of the chase drivers start in the back, they could be caught up in some incidences. But we just have to wait and see as clock runs down here on Uncharted qualifying.
07 Chloe Reiner, 08 Bobo Jones. They're going to be the 2 drivers who advance on here in the JBL 400 in Uncharted qualifying from Hillside. They're going to join the other 40 full-time drivers here in the Chick-fil-A Cup to see who's going to start on the pole for the JBL 400 here from the Hillside International Speedway. 8 p.m. Eastern Time tonight over on Napa Fan. We're going to have the race. Let's go ahead and see who starts on the pole here for the 3rd race of the chase in Season 9 of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. And here we go to set the starting lineup for the 23rd race of the season here. In less than an hour, we'll be going green for the JBL 400 from Hillside in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. And it should be a fun one here. Equan Haslam going to be the first driver out there on the racetrack. Decided to line up in the chase points after 2 races. And very unique coming to a new racetrack here in the chase. Jarlarvin Alonso, your points leader, 2,076 points. Nathan Baird is 10 points behind. Jesse Turner, 11 points behind. Mark Davidson, 16 points behind. Alexander Rowe, 18 points behind. And Salmon Oskin, Ryan Arani, Silas Orta, all tied 20 points behind. Fisher G, 21 points behind, and Bradley Ream, 22 points behind. That's a top 10 in points, all separated by 22 points. And Shane Lake, 58 points behind. Reagan Whitlock, 65 points behind. Those guys not off to a good start here in the Season 9 Chick-fil-A Cup Series chase. Should be an interesting one here from Hillside. Of course, you had your races here in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series not too long ago. What are you expecting in tonight's race here with 80 laps in these Chick-fil-A Cup Series cars?
Well, coincidentally, the second race we did for the Hillside doubleheader in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series was at Hillside night with 80 laps, and just about the same percentage. So I'd expect pretty much the same. We did have a pretty big wreck at the beginning. We did have a couple of engine issues, which you have been seeing through testing, and then we had a pretty exciting dogfight finish to the end. So I'm expecting more of the same here in the JBL 400. Although my race was not during a chase race, and your race is, so these guys are definitely going to be a lot more aggressive for this. So definitely, regardless, is going to be a fun one here at this Natick Mile track.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what guys like Bradley Ream can do. Nathan Baird and all those guys who are right on there on the points leader here, Jarlarvin Alonso. Of course, none of the chase drivers, with the exception of Mark Davis and Jesse Turner, had good nights at Armory Digital on Friday, and they all kind of closed in on the points leader, but it didn't really help a lot of those guys out either. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all goes down, because we still have 10 guys effectively right there for the points lead after 2 races. Bradley Ream just went to the top of the board. He's tied with Bobo Jones, but Bradley Ream does have the tiebreaker on points. Number 39, Wyatt Quayle, now to the top of the board for Trans Tasman Racing. And we'll have to see if he can hold on to that top position. But I would imagine that these times are going to get faster as the session goes along. A cool night, a fast racetrack, of course a very high-banked racetrack. Oh, and somebody had an issue. I'm wondering if it was... See, some damage there on Nikolai Sykes and Trey Bartow. And the thing about these practice sessions, with all these guys going on and off the racetrack, it's very tough to merge onto this racetrack without getting into somebody. So, you could see a few wrecks here in this qualifying just here tonight. Salmon Oskin just went to the top of the board. Under 20 seconds for Salmon Oskin in number 83. He's looking like he's back in his normal style, but now Nicholas Samadio goes to the top of the board with Cameron Garlington. And a boatload of guys just went over Salmon Oskin. Now it's Diego Yepes on the top of the board in the number 88 with Ace Garcia, Samadio, Garlington, Haslam, Stapleton, Davidson, Patrick Smith, Cody Sill, and then it was Tristan Allen, but now Iquan Haslam goes back to the top of the board in the number 64.
These guys are trading the pole position like they are swapping stocks. We focus on Iquan Haslam, your current pole sitter. And like you said, as these laps go on, the more these tires are going to kind of adjust to the racetrack, and the faster these are going to go, as we see Haslam going to head down back the pit lane.
Very good run there for the number 64, Vic1 Haslam. We'll have to see what Nathan Stapleton can do, because he also put down a really fast time. Right there behind Cameron Garlington. Garlington now in the 5th position. So we'll have to see if these guys can get a good run in tonight's race. Of course, where you start's going to mean a little bit. It's not an easy place to move your way from the back to the front. So those guys who start up front for this race, they're going to have the best advantage. As for the chase drivers, Shane Lake, Mark Davidson, the two chase drivers who are inside the top 10, along with Fisher G right there. Davidson in 7th, Shane Lake in 8th, and then Fisher G in 10th. Other chase drivers in the field, Bradley Ream, 13th, as somebody moved their way inside the top 10. I believe it was Sebastian Kukalon. Now Tristan Allen moving up a position. But Bradley Ream is 14th. Alonso, our points leader, is 16th. You don't necessarily want to start on the outside lane here. At least start on the outside lane. As the race goes along, the tires get a little bit more worn. That outside lane does get a better run. Alonso now 17th in the number 28 machine. Silas Orta 21st. Reagan Whitlock 25th. Alexander O 26th. Ryan Durrani 27th. Nathan Baird 31st. Jesse Turner 35th. Of course, Turner didn't start up front at Armory Digital on Friday. Still had a good run in that race. And then at the back, I think we got everybody in there as they do continue to move throughout the field. Salmon Oskin now in 8th position. He improved his time right there. Oskin currently the highest chase driver in the field here in qualifying. Then it's Mark Davidson, Shane Lake. And the number 7 of Fisher G is up to 14th with Bradley Ream, Alonso, and then Nathan Baird in 21st with Silas Orta there. So those guys kind of all over the place once again. Not a lot of chase drivers up front in this one. Of course, when we went to Nashville, had a lot of guys in the chase starting up front there. Not so much the case here, not so much the case at Armory Digital last Friday. But it is 80 laps, and even though it is one of the shorter races of the season, there's still going to be plenty of time for those guys to work their way from the back to the front. It's difficult to do so, but these chase drivers have definitely shown themselves to be some of the fastest guys of the season, so would not be surprised if they were to do so in tonight's event.
I would not be so either. These have been the 10 or so most consistent drivers of the season. We focus on Alonso, your current points leader, coming into the Hillside race. But consistency is definitely the biggest key in this points format. And just have to wait and see who can try and advance their position here and who's going to fall back in the JBL 400. This is going to be a wild race later on this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around because we're going to have some fun.
It definitely will be. Tuesday night Chick-fil-A Cup Series action. It should be a good one here from the Hillside International Speedway. Iquan Haslam still the fastest guy out there. And he won at a place that's similarly shaped to Hillside, the Homestead Miami Speedway, back in March. But this place does not race anything at all like the Homestead Miami Speedway. So we'll have to see what Haslam can do. And then number 64, looking for his second win of the season there for Anderson Racing. And it's Nathan Stapleton, Diego Yepes, Ace Garcia. Great run for Tristan Allen in the 06 machine. Cameron Garlington, Nicholas Samadeo, who got another win in the IndyCar Series the other night at Portland on Saturday. And that was a great run for him in that race. Has a bit of momentum from that. Brad Stover in 8th, Salmon Oskin and Mark Davidson rounds out the top 10 here in JBL 400 qualifying. Iquan Haslam still the fastest. Still a little bit time left here at Hillside to set the starting lineup, but it does appear that Haslam's going to hold on to that top position.
Yeah, I know you mentioned Brad Stover's name. Stover, he's just been having a pretty dismal season at 99. So hopefully he can try and rebound here in the JBL 400, but just over a minute left in qualifying. And definitely going to be a very, very, very fun race here later on tonight.
Our points leader is here, Jolaravan Alonso. He's currently 24th fastest here at Hillside. Not exactly the best place to start. Now 25th fastest. That'll be interesting to see what he can do in this race, because he definitely showed a lot of strength in Nashville and kind of hung in the back at Armory Digital on Friday night. Definitely was an interesting run for him there in that one. Oh, Daniel McMillan. Oh, and Alonso just went to third as well. That right there is huge towards this championship. So, Daniel McMillan in the 79, Hergelarv and Alonso in the 28, and the 64 of Ikwan Hasem. All on each other right there. And now, Alonso just went to second. Nathan Baird ahead of Alonso. These guys got a strong line right now, and they are getting some fast times. If I'm not mistaken, I think Hasem might have improved his time right here. It's Hasem, Alonso, Baird, McMillan, Sam Adio, Barto in the number 4, who's also in this little draft. Then it's Stapleton, Yepes, Garcia, and the 06 of Tristan Allen. But it still has him the fastest guy here in Hillside qualifying.
Yeah, just a little bit of remaining time. Looks like Hasem is going to win the pole here. But Hergelarv and Alonso, now even though he is starting second, that outside lane on the starts doesn't really tend to work as much here, as effectively I should say. So, might be seeing that 28 fall back just a little bit here. See if he improves his time at all. Does not appear that he is, and it appears 64 of Ikwan Hasem will remain at the top of the board here, starting on later tonight for the JBL 400. Crazy qualifying session here.
If you thought this qualifying session was crazy, just wait until you get to the race. Should be an interesting one here tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Napa Fan. Ikwan Hasem will lead us to the green flag. I believe that's his first ever pole. And he'll be starting alongside Hergelarv and Alonso in the number 28, Nathan Baird, Daniel McMillan in row number 2, Sam Adio and Barto. Those are 2 guys to watch out for in tonight's race, especially Sam Adio. We all know what he can do. Nathan Stapleton as well, Diego Yepes, then Ace Garcia and Tristan Allen. Only one rookie inside the top 10. That's our pole sitter, Ikwan Hasem, who has shown a lot of strength this season in number 64. Obviously won a race earlier in the year. Very interesting to see all those veterans starting up front. How do you think the race is going to go tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on APAFan?
I think this race is going to be very wild here at the Hillside International Speedway. It's just going to be wild and fun for us to call, but for the 42 drivers down on the racetrack, it's going to be pure pandemonium.
It definitely will. But you got one tie there between Andrew Miller and Gianna. I don't know who has the advantage on that one. We'll go and break that tie. All but 2 drivers went under 20 seconds in this session, so it's a fast racetrack, no doubt about it. Keep in mind, this is a 1 mile long racetrack, and these guys are clocking under 20 seconds here, so think about that for a second. Martinsville gets lap times like these, and Martinsville is half the length of this racetrack. So it's a wild place, so we'll have a wild race here. JBL 400, 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on APAFan. Ikwan Hasem will lead us to the green flag for the 23rd race of the season. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys later tonight over on APAFan for the 23rd race of the season, the 3rd race of the chase in Season 9 of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. I will see you guys later.